Hello everyone, my name is Sam and welcome to this little video we're going to be doing about VR technology. Now, VR technology is something that's kind of hot and big right now. It's really cool, and I just kind of want to go over maybe some stuff that, go over VR technology, what it is, what it can be used for, and I'm going to show off a couple of VR devices that we have our hands on. That's what we're going to be doing today. Hopefully this won't take too long, but I'm guessing you enjoy it. So, starting off, you might be wondering what exactly VR is. And VR is, virtual reality, VR for short. And it's a really cool piece, technology that's emerged over the last couple years. And it's essentially what it is a special equipment, so like a headset, like this guy right here, that you kind of strap to your face, and there's software that is loaded onto the headset, and it's essentially just like a really immersive experience that you experience. It's a really so it's a simulation of an virtual environment essentially, and so while you're wearing the device, you can look around and at times even interact with the world. Now, the interaction that's going to be limited based on the software, and sometimes in case of a headset like this, it needs a special controller, kind of like this guy right here. And I'll get more into these later when we start going over the different devices. But essentially, it allows you to look around and interact with the virtual world. And because with this headset on, as you move your head, it will actually it will track the head movement of your head and rotate the essentially camera, the in software camera, to follow the way your head moves. So it makes you kind of feel like you're in. It gives you a feeling of being in the virtual world, much different than if you were, say, looking at something, watching a movie on a TV screen or playing a game on a computer screen. And this is usually can be helped with sound effects as well. So virtual reality, what it does is it plays 3D images across the lenses inside the virtual reality headset. These guys right here, and some headsets, they come with headphones that go over your ear, kind of like what I'm wearing now, but more attached to the thing. And it does a really good job, at least in my experience, of fully immersing you in that environment. VR has a lot of great uses. The biggest thing you may have heard of when it comes to VR is with video games, and admittedly that is a huge part, at least, of the VR technology and culture and stuff like that, because it's such a ripe area for VR to kind of explore in, because you're interacting with the world. So I mean, a game is really great for that as well. You're essentially in a video game, you are interacting with stuff. But that's not all that VR is limited to either. So a lot of the things that VR has been used for are, in educational purposes, they are used for showing different environments. There's a really cool app that allows you to, it's similar to Google Earth, where it allows you to just kind of go to different places around the Earth, and they took an image with a 360-degree camera, and you're able to look around and explore. There are even some of these programs even have little things you can click on or interact with, and it'll pop up a information bubble so you can read about it. Similarly, there are apps I've played with where it plops you into a 3D environment, and there is a human body that you're able, or a skeleton, human skeleton that you're able to reach out and grab the, like, say your forearm bone. Don't know what exactly this is called. See, I didn't pay that much attention. But you're able to reach out and grab different bones, and it will give you just information about the bone, what it's called, how it generally works, when you're moving around and stuff like that, like I'm doing with my hands right now. And it can go down to as much detail as the different plates for your skull, or even I think that software also had features with like looking at muscles and your blood veins and networks and stuff like that. So I didn't get a whole lot of time with it, but it's really cool. Um, Other things you can use VR for are stuff like communication purposes. There are entire VR chat rooms where people can jump in and speak with people real time. So kind of like a Skype call or like a video messaging call, except you're fully immersed in that environment. And some programs have like avatars you can create. Some just give you a generic thing. It differs. Um, there's also a bunch of different simulation stuff that's going on with VR. Like they've done, I think, like military simulations for training and stuff like that. And there have even been some reports of people using it for like psychological therapy. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm not going to get into it. But the whole point of this was just to give you a breadth of what VR kind of can accomplish, and people are exploring this more and more uses are coming of it, coming into effect just by the day almost. And the reason for this is that because VR is so immersive, you do feel like you're there. And it's really interesting, and you can, speaking for someone who's played a lot with VR virtual reality stuff, depending on the level of hardware that you have, you do kind of like it does make you feel like you are there. You can kind of forget the world around you. And take it from me, who's accidentally punched my bookshelf while playing a VR game, because I just was fully immersed and I kind of lost track of where I was, and I swung out with my arm and bam, smacked my hand on the bookshelf. It kind of hurt, bruised my knuckles, but that's what makes it so cool. So um, we're gonna go and look at some of the different VR devices here too. Okay, so we're gonna start with VR headsets, or devices rather, that are less powered and then work our way up. Less powerful, more basic. And before I start, I want to say that a lot of these devices are, they're not owned by the library. We actually borrowed them from, it's upside down there, the Northeast Ohio Regional Library System. They are a group of, they're basically a group that works with libraries around Northeast Ohio, and they kind of do a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things is they lend out kits, and this is one of the kits that we got. So, you're probably wondering what this guy is. So what this guy is a Google Cardboard. You may have heard about Google Cardboard before. And, I mean, this is basically what it is. It's a little, it's something that you can order offline, or online, excuse me. You order off the internet, and what it essentially does is you take your phone, and you slot it in here. Well, backwards. But yeah, you slot it in, screen first, and there's an app that you load up. There's several different apps you can load up, but most of them are, the big one is Google Cardboard. And what you end up doing is you load up that app, you slot your phone in, and then you use this little magnet guy right here, and you're able to
browse the app and control it and basically look for it, look through it, and engage with the different activities, the videos, the games, whatnot. If you're wondering about the tape, this Google Cardboard has seen better days. So he's a little roughed up, but this is essentially one of the things you can get. This is essentially pretty much the most basic and inexpensive. They tend to cost like anywhere from like 12 to like $20, depending on the kit that you order. Moving on. The next step up from the Google Cardboard is this guy right here. So this is there are several, I mean, this is just an example of what something like this looks like. But this is essentially the same thing as a Google Cardboard, except it's a bit beefier, a little bit more put together. You can see it's got a few more features, and it just looks a little bit nicer. This is a ShineCon, the VR ShineCon, the virtual reality glasses. And essentially, like I said, they're the same as the Google Cardboard, except they're a little bit more. There's actually a strap for your head, so you don't end up having to, hold it up to your head. And a nice built-in space for your phone. It clips in. It starts to really build more on the immersive side of VR, because it's doing more to build out and more kind of isolate yourself from your senses from the rest from reality. And there's also controllers and stuff like that you can buy for it that hook up to your phone. So if you're just using games or something like that, then it makes it easier to do so. And heck, even some models of this come with headphones that slot into the sides here that allow you to give you the sound there too, that it's directly into your ears. All right. And moving a step up from that are these guys. This is the Samsung Gear VR. Essentially, so if you're familiar with Samsung products, you know they have their own kind of line of extended peripherals essentially for their phones. So this is built specifically for Samsung phones. I don't remember exactly which phones it works for, but the one that the NEO has provided with us for us to use is the Galaxy Note 2. So essentially, what this does is you slot the phone in, and this one it's nice because it has a little charging port for your phone, so it syncs up and it can play music and audio through that a lot easier. And it comes with a cute little remote, Bluetooth remote, that you can use to control it. Samsung has their own app for the Gear VR. It has some things that Google Cardboard doesn't. It's a little bit more feature rich than some of the basic VR apps that you find in Play Store, but still it relies purely on your phone here for viewing. Alright, so moving on, we're going to be looking at some other headsets that you can purchase that are a little more powerful, and they don't require you to have a smartphone. Now, that's great because you don't need the extra hardware. It's not so great because they're a little bit more expensive. So starting out, and we're just going to kind of move up as power goes. So power by meaning it can do more and more complex or graphically intensive software it can run. So starting out, so this is the Oculus Go. It is a standalone headset, VR headset, meaning it doesn't require anything other than what comes in the box, which is this headset and this remote here. Oh my goodness, that does not want to focus. There we go. Or this remote. So, and these are really nice because a big barrier of entry for many, many, many years with VR headsets was the fact that you needed a really beefy, really powerful computer. And what is nice about this one, the Oculus Go and the Oculus Quest, which we're going to look at in a second, is they don't require anything other than what it comes in the box, which is great because for a while, one of the biggest barriers of entry for VR was, outside of the really expensive headset, is you needed a really powerful, not really, but a fairly powerful computer. Without going into the details, I might bore you here, and it's beyond what we're trying to do with this basic overview, but you really needed a really powerful computer to run, or to even be able to run software on on the headset. So these kind of took out that computer that could cost you anywhere from $800 to over $1,000 to build, on top of the, at least at the time, several $100 to $1,000 headsets that were on the market. So Oculus, what they did was they figured out, they shrunk down the technology to the point where they fit it into just a headset that you can, just take it with you on the go. Hence the name Oculus Go. Not on there. Pretend it is. So the only problem being with the Oculus Go is it's not as powerful, in meaning it can't run as much software as, say, if you had an Oculus Rift, which plugs into the computer. And so you're relying entirely on what's built into the headset, and it can run some stuff, but not everything that's on, like, say, the Oculus's software storefront. So, while this is a great idea and concept, it was it lacked the versatility of some of the more beefier setups, which is why they further developed and iterated on that to give us this guy. So this is the Oculus Quest. Essentially, it's the same deal as the Oculus Go, and there we go. Same deal as the Oculus Go, where it's a standalone VR headset, which you just charge up and just slap onto your face and you're good to go. But it has a little bit more powerful hardware in there. I mean, you can run more complex programs, more graphically intensive ones. And another cool thing about it is again, don't want to go into too many details with it, but you see these spots here. The camera's not going to pick them up too well, I don't think. But they're cameras that the Oculus uses to sense your environment around you. It basically watches the environment around you, which helps because it means it does a lot better job of making sure you don't punch your bookcase, for instance, when you're playing a game or interacting with the world, with the virtual world. So it's a really nice piece of hardware. It's more expensive than the Oculus Go, and but when I say but keep in mind, by expensive I mean this is about $300. The Go is about $200. Something like this a couple of years ago would have been probably $800 or $900. And speaking of $800 to $900, this is what I'm referring to, which is the Oculus Rift. So the Oculus Rift has a couple different models. I think this is the consumer model, not the developer one. So it's a little bit more streamlined. It's got a lot of the kinks worked out. But this is still a bit of an older headset. It doesn't quite have all the bells and whistles of the Oculus Quest. And the big difference between this and the Quest and the Go is these guys. Cords, the bane of many computers' existences. So the Oculus Rift and its contemporaries, like the main ones, would be the HTC Vive, and I believe Valve is a gaming company. They came up with their own, which is the Valve Index, I believe. These headsets have to be wired into your computer, which is why this guy also needs this sensor bar right here. It looks a bit like a microphone, I know, but so essentially what these are is the sensors. The sensors here work with the headset. They're able to sense the headset and watch its movements and the movements of the controller. And this is probably this particular here isn't the most powerful or nicest VR headset, but it is the category it stands in. These wired headsets, the ones that have to be tethered to your computer, they pretty much are the best way to experience VR, because they, instead of relying on the components inside the headset, you're relying on your computer's power in order to generate these virtual environments, which is great because if you have a really good graphics card and processor, then you're golden. You can load up any kind, all these different types of programs, high-end games. You can, I think there's software that's similar to Google Earth. There's drawing and painting software where you can, draw things like Google Paint, or you can, not paint, it's Google Tilt Brush, that's it, where you can draw in a 3D environment, and there's even 3D modeling software, which I actually have for this guy. That is really the main difference between these higher end headsets, is the fact that they are, is the power that they're able to achieve, and the fact that they have to be tethered. Although, if I do remember correctly, a couple months ago, because the Oculus Quest is still fairly new, it came out at around the middle to end of January, or not January, of 2019. Like around August or September, I believe. I'm not 100% up on the facts there. But, so it's fairly new. And I think a couple of months ago Oculus did release a cable, or at least they're playing with the idea with coming out with a cable that allowed you to tether the Quest to the computer, just to give it a little extra boost in power, but I don't know a whole lot about that. And you're probably wondering, well, hey Sam, why is this video talking mainly about the Oculus series of headsets? Because you said yourself that there's other ones. Well, mainly that's really because it's all we have access to. All the headsets in this kit are Oculus, because tend to be they're a little more user friendly in my experience than, like, say, the HTC Vive. Well, that's the only other headset I've played with. And this is mine, and I just happened to get the Oculus Rift and not the other ones. Mainly due to cost. And even now, the regular Rift, this first version of it is, I think they're not even selling this anymore. Oculus updated it with the Rift S. So that's a lot of the devices you can experience VR with. I'm sure there are others, and there's probably some that I missed, but...
So that's all we have today for the little quick introduction to VR and its basic devices and kind of what it is. Thank you so much for joining us today, joining me here. This is something that's we're kind of new to and experimenting, so maybe just to see if you guys like it or not. So please let us know. Give us a comment in the YouTube video, on the YouTube page, or let us know on the Facebook page or the Twitter account or any of our other social media places, because we really want to know what you thought. I hope that you learned something, and that even if you didn't learn something, you enjoyed my awkward self. At least watching me ramble my way through all of this. So again, thank you so much for joining me here today, and I hope that you all have a wonderful evening or day, or whenever you end up watching this. Goodbye!